Hello and welcome. In today's demonstration, I'm going to show you how Itential automates Panorama security rule creation. Today's demonstration will use several Itential pre-builts. We have a security pre and a security post rule creation for Panorama. Those both consist of pre-checks, provisioning steps, and post-checks. The pre-check validation ensures that the rule name is unique against the Panorama controller. The post-check ensures that the security rule has been created on the Panorama. Once the rule has been created, we then follow up with the pre-built for commit. The commit pushes the configuration across the Panorama and ensures that it's been committed to its database. Following the overview of the automation, we'll move into a demonstration where we look at the audit data along the way from the automation, and we'll log into our Panorama controller to show you the rule has been created. Alright, so that's all for the overview. So now let's jump into the Itential automation platform and show you how this works. Here we can see Automation Studio. This is the canvas of the demonstration that we've put together. It consists of a transformation step, which will take our input data and convert it into the data needed for the pre-builts. We can also see two diamond tasks. Those are evaluation tasks. Those determine which route the automation should take. Depending on the input data, we'll decide whether this should be a security pre-rule or a security post-rule. Regardless of the path taken, both paths converge into a commit step. That commit is the commit pre-built we talked about in the slides earlier. The commit pre-built will send the commit command over to the Panorama controller to commit those rules to its database. Let's take a look at one of those pre-builts in detail. Here's the create security pre-rule. In this pre-built, we can see that the main steps involved are the transformation of the input data for the Panorama controller tasks. We have a task in here for pre-check, as we discussed earlier from the slides. We have the create security post rule, which does the provisioning, and we have the post check. You'll also notice some other tasks around those main tasks. Those additional tasks are used for error handling, so in case anything happens during the automation, we'll recover from those errors and proceed on accordingly. Let's take a look at the create security post rule automation. This one is very similar to the pre-rule, except these tasks are focused on the post rules, which require different API calls into the Panorama controller. Next up, we have the commit Panorama. This is a very simple automation, but this one utilizes the commit API call. Converting the data into something that the Panorama API can understand is part of the data transformation. These are done using Itential's Automation Studio data transformation. Converting the data into something that the Panorama API can understand is the function of the transformations. I'll dive into one of them so that you can understand what is going on. Here we can see that the simple inputs are manipulated into the data structure that is needed for the Panorama API. On the left side are the inputs. These are basic fields, but on the right side we have a JSON object that will be sent into the Panorama tasks within our automation workflow. I'll demo this transformation for you so you can see a sample execution of it. Here we have some mocked up data, and when I click run, you'll see that the data object has been created. Keep in mind, when this is executed as part of our automation, the data will be gathered and manipulated real time. That's it for the pre-built overview, so now we'll move into the demonstration. This is the Panorama controller that I'll be using. Notice there are not any security rules. We'll add one by going into Itential's Operation Manager and running a manual trigger. The manual trigger will prompt us with a form. We'll fill out some information here. I'll go ahead and input a rule name. We'll call this one Test 1. We'll populate a description as well and decide whether this policy type should be a pre or a post rule. Selecting the security pre-rule will take the pre-rule path within our automation. We'll also set the action to allowed and choose a rule type of universal. I'll go ahead and configure a schedule here and set the rest of our inputs needed. Once those have been filled out, I'll click on Run to start the automation. This launches a job. I can click into the job and view the audit. I can see the job is already completed. It's pretty fast. These are just API calls into the Panorama controller. Since the automation is completed, I can see the path that was taken. We can see that by the colored tasks. We can also click into it and see where things have failed. Notice that this pre-check failed with an error state, but the error is actually valid. This tells us that the rule was not found, and therefore the Panorama API threw an error back out. But our error handling within the pre-built acknowledged that and let us know that it was time for us to move into the provisioning step. That data that came through we can see in our incoming values here. We can also see the response back from the Panorama controller. Here we can see the rule was created. Click and close. We'll go ahead and take a look at the post check. In the post check this time, very similar to the pre-check, however this time the post check has told us that we did receive a response back from the Panorama controller. By clicking in the Panorama, we can also validate that. I can see that the test 1 rule has been created. We can see information about it, such as the actions. We can see our log start, and we can see the different destination and source addressing that has been provided with the rule. Now that the panorama has been configured and provisioned by Itential, that completes this demonstration. Thanks for watching.